got some nasty gold here, a little button I melted, slightly impure, and as you can see there's a little bit of silver chloride in there from some previous refining nodules. So we're gonna get this melted up. I'm gonna add some of this. This is just some cemented silver from a previous silver cell refining that I cemented out using copper. And I'm gonna inquart the gold, this stuff, to about 20% gold, 80% cemented silver, and we'll get it in some acid and start refining it to get a pure gold button. Let's get into it. And here is a look at the material. That was some melted gold that I was showing someone what it looks like. And a lot of fine gold. There's some pyrite and stuff in there that I typically will separate out when I'm receiving gold in. Doing some inspection. This kind of looked a little bit artificial to me. It's hard to see in this light, but there you go. I didn't really like the look of that, so I don't really want to sell it. Same with this. And also, I've got my powerful magnet right there. I'll show you some other stuff that I've separated out of here. So I've got the magnet right here, and as you can see, oh, quite a bit. There is some magnetic gold. It must be from Arizona. There's actually quite a bit in it. I'll get really close to it. Look at all that. Now obviously gold is not magnetic. There might be some iron or something like that trapped in the gold. But when I receive stuff in like that, I always filter it off and I'll refine it. So that'll be included in this melt refining. So I'm gonna get this on a scale and we'll see what we're starting with. If I had to guess, this is probably right close to 5 grams. Okay, 4 grams. Not a whole heck of a lot. We're still gonna refine it up into something kind of like that right there. 4 grams, and we'll add probably about 7 or 8 grams of cement silver to get it to an alloy of 6K. This is the melt dish I'm gonna use. There's some junk and crud in there, some silver, maybe a little bit of gold. Gonna use that with some MAP gas. A lot of people like to know all the stuff that I use in these experiments. So I'm gonna go ahead and add the gold to this and the inquarted silver, or excuse me, cement silver. I'm gonna melt this stuff off the edges first, and then I'll add all that stuff in and I'll show you that after. I went ahead and did a little bit of cleanup, added some borax to the dish. It looks like it was mostly silver, but there's definitely some junk in here. I'm gonna add the gold and the cement silver to this, melt it up, and pour it into some shot. And I'll use a stainless steel bowl and some water to pour that molten metal into. The gold, cement, silver, and a little bit of borax in the melt dish. I've got my cold water to pour it into and a graphite stir rod. I'll use that to mix this up once it's all melted. Let's get to melting. Got the hot plate set up. The heat is off currently. I've got the inquarted gold and a beaker. And I put some distilled water in here. That way we don't form any silver chloride. I'm gonna go get some nitric acid and then pour it in and get this thing cooking. Alrighty, here we go. Adding some nitric acid. That was a large excess. It should get going pretty quickly. As you can see, it's already turning black. Down in there. the races. Pretty much done here with the first boil. Pretty surprised that it went so quick with 100 milliliters of nitric in there and so little material. Needless to say, we're going to add some more nitric to that. In the meantime, I've got some tin metal and hydrochloric acid. This really could use the assistance of the hot plate, but I am out of stannous. My stannous chloride solution is old, and we use that as a gold indicator in our Aqua regia. So making some more of that. I'm gonna pour this off into that waste container, get some fresh water and nitric acid on there for boil number 2. I put a bit of cement silver in here as an indicator for when I pour this boil off to see how much free nitric is left in here. I think there's a pretty substantial amount. If there are fumes generated quickly and pretty dark, great indication that there's a lot of nitric left over, and we can make short work of these boils. If there's no fumes left, that means all the nitric has been consumed in this first boil, and we need multiple more boils after that. So we're going to do that next. Oh yeah, there's a lot of free nitric left in there. All of that silver will dissolve. See that? Way too much nitric in this first boil. I'm going to do one more nitric boil on that. Small amount. That was a great indicator to kind of show you how much nitric is left in there. I'll add some water to that. Hydrate it a little bit. Pour a little bit more nitric in our beaker with the gold in there, and probably won't have to do much more. Okay, we'll let that go. I'll catch up with you when it's done. That second boil is all done. Gonna turn it off, let it cool down, pour off the nitric and water, and I will use that for another refining. And I will get Aqua regia set up next. Alrighty, took a little break here. I'm also in the middle of painting some walls. Give me a little bit of time to get all the roller stuff done. I'll go ahead and wash out this beaker with all the used nitric. Like I said, I'm going to reserve this nitric for another refining, since it's pretty much unused. So I'll pour that in here. And I'll wash this stuff off a couple times. And if I had to guess, I'm gonna go with 3.3 grams for all this gold here. That little bit of gold. Looks good. Sounds a little chunky. And I'll put this in my used nitric. And then with this stuff here, dissolve all the silver. Pretty much, there's a little bit left, some slimes. I'm gonna add some silver to this until I use up all the nitric. And I'll do that while this Aqua regia is going. So let me get set up for Aqua regia, and we'll dissolve that gold. That's enough work for right now. I decided to take a break, doing a little bit of fishing. We'll get some fish in the Salt River. This is really down compared to like last week. It was way up there last week. Came out here with the boys, going for like right over there. Well, definitely is another day. Went fishing out at the Salt River. Didn't catch anything. Had a great time. Got a few bites, but they were being really picky. Should have gone upriver a little bit where there was a little bit more water, but we'll go to another spot next time up there, maybe this weekend. See how it goes. Going for rainbow trout, Arizona stocked rainbow trout. It's a stock and take river system. So anyways, we're back to the refining. I've got the gold over here on the hot plate, and I'm gonna add some hydrochloric acid and nitric acid and sulfuric acid, just a few little drops of that. The sulfuric will precipitate out any lead as lead sulfate. The hydrochloric and nitric are gonna form an Aqua regia solution that'll dissolve the gold. And then, yeah, we'll filter it, drop it, and see what we got for a weight. Hoping for like 3.3 grams. Just a guess. But yeah, let's see what we got. First things first, I'm gonna pour in some hydrochloric acid. And it looks like there's a little bit of nitric already stuck in that gold. As you can see, it's already putting out some fumes. Then I'll add 5 milliliters of nitric acid. Get my respirator on here. There we go. All right, and then a couple drops, drips and drabs of sulfuric acid as well. Put the sulfuric acid in next. Just a little bit. About 1 milliliter of sulfuric. And I will put in approximately 5 milliliters of nitric. There's 2. 4. And I'll do one more. So 5 milliliters of nitric. And we'll let it cook. Now what I've been doing is adding a couple milliliters of nitric at a time, and this is called incremental dosing of nitric. I don't want a whole bunch of excess nitric in this because it'll be hard to, or impossible to drop the gold out. It'll just keep redissolving until all that free nitric is used. There are little tiny flakes of gold left that are dissolving still. That's what all that foaming and bubbling is. You can see them dancing around down there. Kind of cool to watch. But I'm going to keep doing this until all that gold is dissolved.
and all these brown fumes are gone. So I've added hydrochloric a little bit, and I've been dosing with nitric to try to get as much of that gold dissolved and as little to no fumes left. So I'll keep doing that. Probably be my last addition of nitric. Total is 12 milliliters of nitric acid. And I'm going to boil this down to kind of a thick syrup. And then we'll rehydrate it with hydrochloric acid. And that should get rid of all the free nitric. So I will catch up with you when I'm done doing this Aqua regia process. Solution is looking really good. I'm going to call it for this. I've also grabbed that tin in hydrochloric acid that I'm making the Stanius for. Look at that little bubble, it's like floating there. Sorry, I got a little distracted there. I don't see any, there's like maybe 1 or 2 crumbs. I'm really happy with this incremental dosing of nitric. So I'm gonna pull this off, let it cool down. I'm gonna put some ice in it, and then I'm gonna filter it, pull it through a filter, maybe once or twice, depending on how much silver chloride, if any, I see. And then we will drop the gold out. I'm very happy with what I'm looking at right here. So we'll see that next.
Just looking at the solution right now, I'm really happy with the clarity of it. I don't really even see any silver chloride that dropped out of solution. And where was that little, there's like 2 dots that were undissolved. I don't even see them anymore. So we're gonna filter this out and drop the gold with some SMB. The SMB I'm gonna use this time, I'm gonna liquefy the SMB. I'm gonna pour, excuse my bottle. I'm gonna pour the liquid SMB into the beaker and see what that kind of looks like, that precipitation looks like. So here's the solution, Aqua regia. You always want to wet the filter so you don't pull a hole in it, and it also can stick to the filter a little bit better rather than moving around. It's always a good practice. This refining went really well, and I say that because I only did 2 acid boils with nitric to get the silver out. Again, the first boil I used way too much nitric, but you know, it's not a lot of material. Normally, if you do gold refining with incorded gold, you're going to want to do 4 or 5, maybe even 6 boils of acid to make sure you get all the base metals and silver out. But I did not do that on this one, and this is going to be a single refining for this 4 grams of impure gold. And there is crumbs, and I mean crumbs in here. So, I mean, I wouldn't even worry about trying to recover what's left in this filter. I'll just throw this thing in the trash. But there's that little dot and those little crumbs. A little bit of silver chloride, I think. It's a little bit foamy. But this piece right there doesn't look like precious metals. I don't know what that is. It's kind of silver looking. Maybe we'll look at all this stuff under the scope. That'd be kind of fun to do. I'm rinsing all the yellow out as much as possible. The yellow indicates there's gold. So that looks pretty good to me. Sorry for the camera angle too. I'm not one to really worry about the cinematics too much, but I'm sure some of my videos are pretty damn hard to watch because I don't care too much. Like, I'm not really trying too hard. I'm just kind of back here in the backyard having a good time, sharing what I'm doing with you guys. I don't know what that is. It's not pyrite. These little tiny little flakes, I doubt are gold. It's just junk. I don't know what it is. It looks like gold, but it's not. Because I would have figured it would have dissolved with what we got. But for the material that we ran through, filtered out, I'm really happy with this refining. So I'm gonna pour this into a beaker right here, the solution, and we will see how much gold we got out of that impure gold. A lot of gold words around here. Okay, I'm gonna pour this into a beaker, get some SMB and some water, and drop it out while we got 2 minutes of daylight left. Anyone thirsty?
Okay, and we've got some S&B. And we'll drop the soap. I went ahead and dissolved some sodium metabisulfite in this water, distilled water, a little chunk or two. And I want to pour it in here and see what it does. And real quick, before I do that, I got a little bit of this stannous chloride solution that I'm cooking down over there on the hot plate. And I want to show you why. So we dip a filter paper in the solution, put a drop on there, and that indicates that we have gold present in solution. So we use this to make sure we drop it all out before we pour this off. All right, here we go. Wow, that is that is cool. I like that. You don't get that plumage as you would with the powder, but that was really cool. Now look up here. We got metallic gold forming on the top of the surface here. Yeah, that's pretty epic. I'm running out of space in this beaker, so go ahead and just drop a little bit in here. That was cool. That was cool. So, yeah, I probably need to put this in a bigger beaker. But I think that was all the stannous we will need for the 4 grams of gold that we started with. I'm gonna put this in a bigger beaker. We'll boil it and let it settle, and then we'll do a couple rinse washes with hydrochloric acid as well as water. And that will drive off anything that didn't get cleaned up from the refining. And I will catch up with you when we go to melt the mud from this material. Oh, I almost forgot. Let's test this. That was a pretty big forget if I did. Let's test our stannous again. Make sure we got all the gold out. We shouldn't see any color change here. So that right there shows you we got all the gold dropped out of the solution. So I'm going to boil this, let it settle, pour it off, wash it, and I'll show you the mud once it's cleaned up.
There's the pour off from the boiled gold that I dropped out with sodium metabisulfite and hydrochloric acid and nitric. So this was the Aqua regia after I let it settle. I've got hydrochloric acid in here, and there's a slight tinge. We'll boil this to get anything else that's left over in that gold. And we'll do this one time, and then we'll put some water in here and boil it one time. Single refining everything. A little tinge to it. I can see it. It's probably hard to see on the camera. And it's dark. Gold, baby. Gold, baby. Let's go. After several rinses, that's our rinse water. There's our gold powder. Go ahead and melt that up into a button and see what it weighs. There's our button. Let's go weigh it up. A little bit of borax on there, but that'll get cleaned up. Oh, a little bit less than I was guessing. Sweet, 2.8. We'll add that to our little collection here. 7.5, and then I got this. I'm trying to make into a necklace, but had a little issue with the clasp. Yeah. Adding to the stack. I got that filter paper, like I said. Wanted to take a look at the stuff underneath the scope. And those, I mean, they're just so small. I think those are just little tiny pieces of gold sponge, a little shark tooth. There's this, that little silver piece of metal. Silver looking anyways. I don't know what this is. It definitely looks like some sort of precious metal, but I don't know what wouldn't dissolve after all that nitric and Aqua regia. Oh, don't know what it is. And there's this piece. Where are you? Yeah, right there. I don't know what that is either. It's kind of 3D looking. Looks like a leaf. Or some other junk that was filtered out from the Aqua regia solution. Yeah, pretty good refining. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll catch you on the next one.